So the Kate Martin versus Angel Reese matchup was big. When was the last time you saw a WNBA star get absolutely demolished on court? Well, what happened between Kate Martin and Angel Reese isn't just another highlight, it's personal payback served ice cold. Remember that LSU championship game? Let's just say Martin didn't forget, but that's not even the craziest part. Wait until you hear what happened with rising star Lexie that has everyone questioning the Rose's coaching decisions, from benchings to blocks, and an ejection that nobody saw coming. This game is leaving fans speechless. Let's break down this wild showdown. Let me take you back to what might be the most intense 3-on-3 basketball game we've seen this season. Picture this: Venice Beach, perfect weather, and tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. The undefeated Laces basketball club rolling in with a perfect record, facing off against Angel Reese's Rose basketball club. But nobody could have predicted what was about to go down. Let's start with the moment that had everyone's jaws on the floor. Angel Reese, fresh off her LSU championship victory, probably thought she was in for another highlight reel play. You know how Reese loves those camera-worthy moments, right? Well, Kate Martin had other plans. As Reese drove to the basket, probably already planning her celebration, Martin came out of nowhere like a heat-seeking missile. The block wasn't just clean, it was devastating. The ball didn't just get swatted, it got sent into next week. You should have seen the crowd's reaction. Someone in the stands yelled, "Kate just sent Barbie back to the bayou." The reference to LSU wasn't lost on anyone, especially not on Martin. See, this wasn't just any regular block, this was personal. Remember the national championship game when Reese's LSU took down Martin's Iowa team? Yeah, Martin definitely didn't forget. It's a huge, friendly sport. Obviously, Kate not lacking in confidence, but you don't want to be looking over your shoulder. Am I going to get the hook if I make a turnover, if I take a bad shot? All those things. That's playing freely, being allowed to play your game. And I think you're seeing that with Kate Martin in Unrivaled. And I think you'll see that with Kate Martin in Golden State, given the state of that franchise as an expansion franchise. So the arrow is pointing up. Maybe it's too late, but you know, recently was probably the time to have bought Kate Martin stock. But here's what makes this story even juicier. The Laces were doing all this with just 4 players. No Alyssa Thomas, no Jackie Young, both out with injuries. Most teams would be scrambling, maybe even making excuses. Not the Laces. They turned what should have been a disadvantage into a masterclass in team basketball. Kayla McBride and Tiffany Hayes were running the show like they'd been playing together their whole lives. Every pass, every cut, every screen, it was basketball poetry in motion. The chemistry between these players is something you can't teach. It's like they've got some kind of telepathic connection on the court. Now, let's talk about the Rose's game plan, or should I say lack thereof. They came in thinking they could just rely on individual talent. Big mistake, huge. The Laces were playing chess, while the Roses were playing checkers. Every time Reese tried to bully her way to the basket, she found herself running into a perfectly positioned defender. Speaking of Reese, let's address the elephant in the room: her performance after that monster block from Martin. Something changed. It was like watching someone trying to drive with the parking brake on. She was hesitant, second-guessing herself. That signature Reese swagger gone, vanished. The numbers don't lie either. In the first 4 minutes, Reese put up 4 points, looking like she might have a big game. Then reality hit harder than one of Martin's blocks. The fouls started piling up faster than Instagram likes on a Reese post. 1, 2, 3. Before you knew it, she was playing more cautious than a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. But what really got people talking was how the Laces adapted their defense. They didn't just stop Reese, they made her look ordinary. Every time she got the ball, there were bodies flying everywhere, hands in passing lanes, perfect help defense. It was like watching a masterclass in how to neutralize a star player. The crowd was eating it up too. Every time Martin made a defensive play on Reese, the Venice Beach crowd got louder. You could feel the energy shift. What started as a regular season game turned into something personal, something bigger. This wasn't just about winning anymore, it was about making a statement, and boy did Martin make that statement. After the big block, she didn't say a word, didn't need to. Her game did all the talking. While Reese was trying to find a rhythm, Martin was everywhere on the court, diving for loose balls, making the extra pass, setting hard screens. It was like watching someone who took all that championship game frustration and turned it into pure basketball excellence. The coaching contrast was fascinating too. Andrew Wade, the Laces coach, was like a chess grandmaster. Every substitution, every tactical adjustment was perfect. Meanwhile, the Roses bench looked confused, like they were trying to solve a Rubik's Cube in the dark. Their rotations were messed, their spacing was off, and don't even get me started on their defensive assignments. By the third quarter, you could see the frustration building in Reese's body language. The cameras caught her shaking her head after another Martin defensive stop. This wasn't the game she had imagined. This wasn't the revenge tour she probably had planned after all the social media hype. The Laces' teamwork was something special to watch. Even with just 4 players, they were moving the ball like the Harlem Globetrotters. Quick passes, backdoor cuts, perfect spacing. It was basketball at its finest. McBride would find Hayes cutting to the basket. Dolson would set the perfect screen, and Martin would be there to clean up any misses. You know what's crazy? The Laces actually improved their league-leading stats in this game. Most teams struggling with injuries would see their numbers drop, not these ladies. They led in rebounds, assists, steals, and had the lowest turnover rate in the league. Talk about making the most of a short roster. And then came the fourth quarter. Reese, already struggling with foul trouble, tried to make one last push. But you know how this story ends: one more foul, and she was done. The walk to the bench was like watching someone who just realized they brought a knife to a gunfight. Game over. Thanks for playing. The final few minutes were just the laces showing off at this point. Martin even threw in a no-look pass that had the crowd going wild. It was like watching someone put the final touches on a masterpiece. The Rose couldn't do anything but watch as their hopes of an upset disappeared faster than Reese's playing time. Let's dive into what might be the biggest head-scratcher of this whole situation, the Lexie Hall saga. Here's a player who just dropped 19 points in 10 minutes in their last game, leading the Rose to their first and only win of the season. You'd think that would earn her some serious playing time, right? Well, buckle up, because this gets weird. In the game against the Laces, Hall spent more time warming the bench than actually playing basketball. 3 minutes. That's all she got until late in the third quarter. Let that sink in. 3 minutes for a player who just had a career game. Thanks for watching, and subscribe my channel.